There we go.
Any particular place we're supposed to sit?
I am going to have Renee sit in the center there and you can pick a side. I'll be right back.
I'm gonna sit over here. I'm gonna leave that guy by himself over
All
there.
right, and we're live streaming because we wanted to make sure everything works since we're,
So we're already on.
yes, so we can head right down to our office.
My mouth shut.
Last Monday, he called the sheriff up at a road to 29.
So how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good.
Y'all all moved in and everything?
Yeah, we are.
We don't, we still don't use these cards to get in here? I thought-
You could, yours should have, done the door.
I didn't try.
Okay, yes,
I followed the instructions.
oh, yes. Yes, yours should have done the door, so.
The lady
So he
was
called
drunk.
that.
Yeah. They know we're having a meeting, so they were kind of watching to make sure we were close to the door.
Says he called Chip Buggy and Roller and he did some chicken seals.
So,
I've got a roller number. And a buggy
if you
number.
manage,
Yeah, we can head down to the office if you want to.
where is it?
Since we're just right here. Since we know we're.
Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. Is that like they hook it up to something, like maybe it just rolls on its own? It was 10/6/29. Okay. Okay, well, I'm sorry, I can get in touch with him, he just didn't answer, so I'm letting you. Okay, thank you. Well, I can do it later, I don't need to do this for a time. Okay, thanks. Thanks.
Morning, how are you?
Good, how are you, sir?
Not tracking today.
Hey. Okay, I've got the 10-234. I was just needing this, how he got the two pieces of equipment out. Okay,
I do want to point this out.
Okay, are we on live right now?
Yes. Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay,
We wanted to go ahead and have it set up just in case there was an issue.
yeah, we're not gonna have the big TV though.
No.
Okay. We've got places for people to sit if somebody shows up, which is good. It's not gonna be for a big group though.
No, no, and they are not visible on here,
Oh, okay,
just y'all. Our
Okay,
webcam only
okay,
does so
good.
much. But
I don't really think that we need.
that's what we figured too.
Okay.
That
You guys are good with this.
She gave them, she put my packet over there.
Okay. You guys are good with all this?
Yes.
I like it. We have a lot.
What?
We have a lot more room.
Yeah.
It is a much more functional.
Yes. I'm glad to hear that.
And
It's a little awkward to get here
yes,
when you're used to going to.
a little awkward living here on the hitchhikers on the side of the road too.
When what?
There's hitchhikers on the side of the road from the jail.
Oh, from the jail?
Yeah, I left yesterday. There was a guy. I was like, nope.
Wow.
Asked for the 2 quarters, so.
Okay.
I don't think we want to have it.
Yes. Hey, these seats are adjustable.
They
Oh, look at that.
We've got a leg up on that other place, huh?
Now, I know they've taken all that furniture out of there. It will be interesting to see if they put it,
It shows up over here.
yeah.
We like, we don't want it. Yeah, really. Replace these chairs with those chairs or something. Oh, my goodness. Turn my phone on.
I left my phone at home.
She can
Oh, did you
rewatch.
really?
No, she just watches it over.
Really?
You know, you do that. First moment when you realize it's like,
Yeah. And then you think about the fact that you haven't had a phone for the most part of your life.
my life, I used to be in sales, I had to stop and get in the phone.
Oh, did you really? Oh, my goodness. How funny. Better take.
I had one of those old big bags.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. Oh, no. Our last meeting was May the 19th, been a whole month.
Nothing, I just brought it in here as a word calculator than anything else. No, honestly, it's just a calculator.
Homes maxes would be. Yeah, probably.
Oh,
Because
that's a
if
good
it
idea.
is On the phone or something like that. It does. Okay, that's good. So if it picks up that much, we would be able to use this in other aspects. See, we bought the little web.
Okay,
I
so-
didn't realize how strong they were, like, to record and to.
Anything
Video.
that's said in here, probably even in a whisper, he's picked up.
It is, but they said you could also kind of hear Regina out there too, so we'll close the door once the
okay.
meeting starts,
Yeah.
but that's good to know.
Yeah.
That it's that strong.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's pretty amazing. So you're gonna have to set this up every time we have a meeting day, right?
Yes, and we only started extremely early today, just in case.
Yeah,
Something happened and we had to call IT, but
right.
we have our own Zoom
Right.
account, so we just control that. We have our own YouTube account,
Mhm.
and then the cameras are, so
Okay,
we control everything, and so as we get used to doing meetings,
right.
that'll go
Meetings.
easier for
Yeah.
us. And maybe make us not so nervous about not being able to live stream, so.
Well, always when you try something like this, you expect
Yeah,
there are gonna be glitches.
Yeah.
But, the more you do it, the easier it'll become, yeah. Well, Max knows we're down here, right?
Yes. And I don't have any messages from them.
Okay. This is not what I expected now that I'm thinking about it. I thought the conference room would be up along that wall there. I mean, the side area that, do you have a,
So
didn't you
if
say there's an entrance
Yes,
there?
I mean, I don't know, we've got time to walk back there, but if you keep going straight down this hall,
Mhm.
on the side that you're thinking is the break room for the.
Oh,
road
okay,
department. And
okay.
it is a lot larger.
That's the one
than
you
this.
were talking about.
Yes, and it does have its own entrance from the
Okay, from the
outside
side.
to be able to come in. So that had been initially a thought to count, but
Right.
it's, as much as we love the thought of the ice maker, the ice maker.
Oh, yeah, the
is very
ice
loud.
maker. I forgot about that.
The
Okay.
ice maker is actually very
It
loud.
would drown out all the,
It
recordings.
really is, yeah, I mean, you don't think about it until you're like in there and,
yeah.
and you're thinking, oh, that's a
Yeah.
lot. And they probably don't ever notice it because they're just eating lunch and chatting.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
we'll count votes over the sheriff's annex.
So I have all of that reserved, and so the commission, we can make a decision on what we want to do in regards to that, but I do have everything reserved.
Yeah.
And if that's what we want.
Now, will you need to reserve this room on a regular basis, or is it used very much?
It's not, from what I can tell, it's not used very much. I did send out like a note to the planning department,
Mhm.
environmental affairs, and to the road department to say, hey, I need the rooms these days.
Right,
Let me know if there's any conflicts, and so far, there's not. And it looks to me like the planning department has like their own little conference table in their office. So unless they had a bigger meeting, they probably don't use it very much. And then it also looks like the road department has a training,
oh,
like
really?
little room in there, that they probably do
Yeah,
things for. So I don't know. Have you ever been to a meeting down here?
Yeah, the planning department has their technical review committee
They're-
meetings here.
Okay,
They have
okay.
developers come in, so there's more people around.
Okay.
so
oh, okay,
Are those during the day or in the
In the
evening?
morning.
In the mornings. Okay, so I'll need to get with Sam and figure out
yeah,
what schedule.
just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. So.
Okay, cool.
There's now on tape. This is some source of information.
Yeah, well, you better be right, Tom.
But I know that they have their big meetings though at the courtroom
Right,
when they do the planning board. meetings.
right.
So, yeah.
Well, I would like to make sure that there are fewer conflicts down here.
Yeah, and basically what I will do is just like I do with.
Hey, good morning.
Yes.
How you guys doing?
Good.
Casual Wednesday.
It's hot out there, Tom.
He was ready for it.
That's right. Oh, my.
You can get away with that, whatever you push it. Get away with.
Well, if more people would do what you're doing, then you could get away with it.
Exactly. It's summertime, it's hot.
I like casual stuff.
Now, our office though, we need a little carpet in there.
Oh,
really?
Moving around and
No
stuff,
kidding.
yeah. We
And
all-
you obviously cannot control it.
We can, but it controls it for other
Oh.
departments, so we try and,
Adjust.
yeah.
Okay, well. There are compensations that you have to go with. What do you think?
Man, we're here.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Who's that in the corner?
That is, so they have one of the conference phones like we had in room 115.
Oh, gotcha.
So we looked at using that, but the audio on the computer was actually easier for us to use and is just as good.
Gotcha,
So, yeah.
okay, well, good, so you you tested some different ways to do it.
We
You
have,
found the best
yes,
way.
we had a little sit down in here and instead of like 4 or 5 meetings trying to figure out what the best way to do it was.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Are we on Zoom or is
We're
there
on
Zoom?
Zoom but we're live streaming to our YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah, okay,
So we're
cool,
able
it's
to
coming from there.
Right there. Be on your best behavior.
Yeah, I know.
All right, well, this meeting is called to order. And our first item is the minutes from the last meeting. And I'll give you a minute to look at those.
Any good to me?
All right, well, those are accepted as presented. And we'll move on to the budget. The 2023.
So I printed out a copy of our current budget so that you could see where we're at. The 2 lines we would be looking at would be general supplies and small equipment.
Okay.
And so small equipment is where any type of voting equipment that we were to purchase comes out of. And so, we did budget for voting equipment, and so we will want to definitely make sure that we purchase that. The question is, what do we purchase? I have a quote here from ES&S for the express votes, for 3 of those in the kiosk, 3 poll books. And that quote is $23,125. However, we had talked about purchasing the BS200s from
Right.
Benton County. Those would be $3,000 a piece if we were to purchase those from Benton County. We can't get all of this year, but we do need to think about, what is the best use of the money that we have. And I went ahead and printed a vote, like a spreadsheet with the voting equipment that we would need.
Okay.
And that shows, this is the bare minimum that we would need for express votes, DS200s, and tablets. We would need 327 express votes. That's the bare minimum.
Oh,
Right now, we have 325, so we're 2 short there, but that also doesn't account for the fact that during the general election, we had 14 express votes that weren't usable.
Right.
Yeah,
And even during the election we had in May, we had, the ES&S had come in and did maintenance. We deployed the machines. One we had to remove because one of the little side latches was broke. So which means that we were worried it wouldn't stay in the upright position. And the other one, the cable went out. It's not anything to do with how it votes or anything like that, but it's like your TV. Once the pixels start to go out, it has like a video camera, video
Okay.
board. And that had gone bad, even though we did pass maintenance earlier. So we can't say that we will have 325. We need to know that we're gonna have 14 possibly that we can't
Right.
use. Then for the DS200s, that's, I do have one extra polling location in here too. That's if the commission ever were to look at an extra polling location. I put in American Legion, that's just a placeholder.
Right.
But if we were to need to expand, this accounts for that too. We would need 50 DS200s. Right now, we have 50 DS200s, but that doesn't account what we have from Kim. But we know that during the general election, we had one that we couldn't use. We had one that we had to replace. So that means we have no.
We gotta have
extra.
some backup.
Exactly.
yeah.
The poll books, same type of thing, 174 is what we would need. We have 171. We have a little bit more flexibility with the poll books in the sense that, the 8 that are in the county clerk's office, we could, if we were to purchase poll books, we could purchase, poll books without printers, because she doesn't need printers
Oh,
on election
okay,
day, so that
yeah.
gives us a little bit more flexibility there. So I want us to, I'm not asking for a decision from the commission today, but I wanted to present what do we need? What is our biggest priority? I have already talked with staff too about the fact that we do have the voting equipment we use from Quorum Court that we don't always deploy as an election day site because it's so late Monday evening by the time we are finished tearing down. However, we are actually putting into plan that we will set up Yvonne Richardson Center after we close early vote on Monday, because it is a gymnasium, and for us to set up 5 express votes in there, that's easy for us to do. So that frees up a few more express votes for us for setting up. The same thing with the tablets as well. So, like I said, I don't think I'm ready to say to the commission, this is exactly what we need. But I want us to, we need to spend the money before September or October so that it is here by the end of the year.
Okay.
And then also that plays into budgeting for next year as well.
Oh, yeah, good point.
So
All right.
So what's your proposal? I mean, what's your ideal
My
breakdown?
idea would be to probably purchase at least 3 of the DS200s from Benton County.
Yeah,
And express votes. I think the express votes are more priority than the tablets. And I've broken down another spreadsheet that I just ran this morning. This shows what our election day sites would look like. And in the kind of peachy color, I'm banking on a 65% voter turnout, okay? It could be higher, but
Right.
65% is about what we normally have. Then if 50% of those vote early, this is what our numbers look like at the polls on election day. And if you notice, the total amount of votes cast on election day is 45,000. We do not have enough equipment for that.
Right,
yeah, that's.
yeah.
That's,
That's a, yeah,
that's
that's a
a
high number
significant.
on.
So then
Election
if I
day.
take it down to 65% voter turnout still, but 60% vote early, that's 40%, and that's at 36,000 on election day. That is a higher number than what we've seen in 2022 and 20. So that means that, to me, the express votes are the greater need, because that's where the check-in goes really fast.
Yeah.
But people voting at the
Yeah.
express votes seems to take longer and longer.
And the ballot will probably be substantial.
So, yes, it'll be the president, and we know for sure there's only one constitutional amendment
Oh,
that the
Oh, really?
state has
Okay.
proposed.
Then the legislature.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that surprises me.
But we don't know what other,
Right.
what referendums might be
Right.
out there. And if that Learns Act actually gets enough signatures, that will be 8 pages of ballot. Because
Whoa.
it's the biggest ballot title that has ever been presented. It's over 8,000 words.
Did they approve it?
They have until July, the end of July, to get enough signatures to go on the ballot.
So they did approve, the
They
AG's office
approved
approved
the ballot title, but that's a whole thing of
Sure, yeah.
borrowing
Whether-
trouble.
yeah,
Yeah, whether it
whether
happens.
Actually,
But we do know the ballot does, voters tend to take more
They will
time
take
at
more
the
time,
ballot. So the yellow column is 65% voter turnout with 35% voting election day. That's a much more, that's what we normally see.
It's manageable.
It is, but I still think our express votes, that's where we need
It's gonna be
to, we need to put our money, especially with us knowing we had 14 we couldn't use on election day because we couldn't get the parts for them. It's not that ES&S can't fix them, it was actually getting the parts
Right.
to be able to fix them was the holdup. In 2020, we had a 78% early vote and a 22% election day. However, 12,000 of that was absentee
Oh,
ballots.
that's true.
Those voters have to
That's
go
why the
some,
number is
that's
so
why the
high.
number is so skewed.
Yeah,
So we can't like take that number
No,
and
that's not gonna
say,
be the case.
not
Yeah.
really.
say that's what we're gonna
Yeah.
see. Because those voters are either gonna vote earlier election day. So I think realistically, we're in this 40% and 35%. I'm hoping not the 50%. I hope more people vote early. So,
Yeah, we don't have enough equipment for everybody to vote on election day. We need people to
Oh,
vote
yeah.
early, and these numbers really show how important it is
Yeah.
for people to vote early based on the equipment we have.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you for putting it together.
so, and I'll update the numbers too. This is from 2022. We also know that this 141,000 is going to increase the closer we get to the election
Yeah.
as well, with more voters actually registering to vote for the presidential year.
In 2016, did we also have a high number of absentee ballots?
No.
That's or what's the reason for that?
Which one?
2016.
We don't have 16 on here.
No.
That's the reason I was asking.
Oh, I didn't put 16 on here.
Well, no, what I'm asking is,
Oh.
I've confused everybody, including myself. What I'm questioning, I wonder, what caused there to be 12,346 absentee ballots?
That was the COVID.
Everybody, they relaxed.
So
absentee voting.
2016 wouldn't have had that high number either.
No, the
Yeah, good
highest,
question.
yeah.
1 year anomaly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's why we can't depend on that
Mhm.
number because we know we're not gonna see that 12,000. I think.
We hope we're
realistic-
not gonna see it.
Yeah, I know. I hope realistically 3,000,
Right.
If that,
if that, yeah.
yeah, people,
So.
we want people to vote early.
Okay, so, let's see, on this other sheet, I noticed that you've got 3 places that are in blue. Are those, places that are, flexible in terms of, well, I guess what I see on that is that it's possible you could remove the DS-200s.
So they're in blue because we added in the DS-200s
Oh,
in
okay.
2022. So that way everybody was
Right.
exactly the same. And I think that worked and we didn't have any issues with it. And they all came in. I think we want to keep those. So that's
Okay.
the only reason those are highlighted
Okay,
is because those were the ones in blue.
okay.
I mean, the ones that we added the DS-200s. And like I said, this American Legion up the top
Mhm.
is, if we think we need to add a polling location to, right now we
Springdale.
have 41. Is there another place that we might need to look at? So this is just simply treated as a placeholder, but at the bare minimum, it would need 6 express votes, 1 DS-200 and 3 tablets. That would be the bare minimum.
Does Becky have any room in her budget by her office's check-in tablets?
That's what yeah, and I'm checking to see how much the newer ones cost, the ones that don't come in the stand. She has no
Oh,
need
yeah.
for scanning IDs, and in fact, when I talked to ES&S, they said, we don't want the flip ones for the field, because it uses the camera to scan the ID, and I don't remember when we had the ASUS tablets, you had to have it under the special light, and if there was too much light, the camera didn't want to scan it, and it was kind of a headache.
Yeah.
What our stands are now, it has its own scanner and not is using the camera, so it is actually preferred for the field, but Becky's office, she doesn't have a need for that and they're compatible, so that will be
That would make
something.
more sense.
That would be something for us to look at, and see if she does have that need for automation, but.
Okay, have we, already purchased some equipment from Denton County?
No, we
Okay.
have not, we just.
I was thinking we approved some of that.
We did,
not?
but we
Yeah,
ended up
that's-
not, we ended up getting the express votes and the tablets rather than the DS-200s, because she let us borrow them to see if
Oh,
we
yeah.
needed them,
Yeah.
rather than actually making the full purchase.
Okay.
So, yeah,
So, I guess one question I have is, how long are their DS200s gonna be available? I
Oh.
presume they're selling them to other, no?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
and that's.
So there's not a big
No.
urgency on
No.
that.
Yes, yeah, so that's, I'm not concerned about
Them
that part of
disappearing.
it, no,
Okay.
at all, so.
But, so if you had your ideal, you'd buy three DS200s for $3,000 each.
And then the remainder I would spend on express votes, or buy two DS200s. And then the
Well, I agree, if
remainder,
that's what you think. I mean,
Yeah.
it's good to have backup if we're at the bare minimum and we had two go out last election.
yeah,
That would give you one extra,
yeah.
only two went out again. Where is that gonna come out of, general supplies and small
No,
equipment?
it will come out of small equipment, so we have budgeted 25,000 was what we had budgeted for small equipment. So we still have that money in here, I mean, and I will hold on to it until we make a decision on what to purchase, I just wanna, make sure that we're,
So that'd be $9,000 and there, it says $30,000 in there, right? There's that original budget.
that was the
We're down
original
to
budget.
27,
Yes,
767. So then how many express votes would you buy? Is that your proposal here?
this is what I had quoted, really so that we can just see, the express votes are 30, or,
That'd leave you like 18,000.
3660. But these are from ES&S, right? They're not
Yes.
from Benton County.
yeah, we would want to buy new express votes. You
Oh,
wouldn't
gotcha.
want it-
Okay.
Yeah, you would not want to buy, the
Gotcha.
DS200s are workhorses.
Right.
They are great performers.
Right.
We have one go out, but it could be, sometimes we don't know if it's user error
Yeah.
or if there's something wrong with it until after the equipment until after the election.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You could buy at least 3 express votes and 3 DS200s.
Yeah, and that would be be about 23,000 plus tax. I'd have to figure that out too.
That would, the 23,000 would include the DS200?
Yes, if you basically took the poll books out here,
Oh, the poll book, you wouldn't buy that.
yeah, not
Oh,
not this time. We could, and I could
That's
visit.
about $6,400.
Yeah. And I can visit with Becky
Okay.
about, maybe if she has money in her automation fund for the tablets. I just need to see exactly how much they are, because they're priced at $1,300, but that's in that heavy duty stand. So how much is the tablet itself? It may not be that expensive.
Okay, so we've got, an approximate picture, and by what date is this equipment supposed to be
Well, it has
purchased
to,
in order to be in the 2023 budget?
we have to have it delivered and in-house by, December 31st.
Oh,
So
okay,
we have
okay, so
time,
there's
and I'll visit with Stretch on like a time frame of delivery and all of that, and then come back to you with an actual quote
Okay.
for all of that. I like to hold on to it until,
Do you? I was gonna
I
say,
know.
is there a reason to wait if we all, you
Because-
guys may wanna wait, and I don't care either way, but if we all think that it's a fine proposal, we have the numbers right here.
Yeah.
Is there a reason to wait? But I defer to you guys again, I don't really care. I'm
I don't know that there
thinking
is,
ahead,
but
trying to
I
get it
mean,
done.
I want to make sure you're comfortable with those numbers. Are you thinking you might need more?
Oh, yes, and I'll build that into our budget for next year. I guess for me, cause I didn't know we were moving this year.
Yeah,
And
sure.
sometimes I hate to spend all of it until closer to the end when I know exactly what the
Right.
full year is going to look like. So, but I think we've got a good idea of everything. So I just
The only flip side, we've just run into the supply chain issues. some of the
Yeah,
times.
that's a good
Not that we're
point.
going to again, but.
Yeah.
Well, if
it's
we are
happened
on repairs
repeatedly.
though,
Yeah, and I will get with, I'll get with Craig at ES&S and find out estimation of delivery and make sure that it's in stock and all of that. And then, you know, bring in the quote for that. I'll also have to get with Benton County to actually get a real invoice basically
Oh, right.
from Benton County, on purchasing those.
May I ask a question? I'm gonna revert back to this sheet. To say American Legion is a placekeeper, we're not sure that's, would be included in this list. What about Arvest? Is it not?
That's early vote. So early vote stuff is used on election day. So when I figure out how many express votes I need, I just strictly use election day.
So this is all election day.
Yeah,
So we wouldn't have Arvest on election day.
right.
But we don't have them on election day typically in the spring. But have we ever had them on election day in the general?
No, their hours, they will only let us be there from 9 to 3
So
or
that's
9 to
okay.
4, yeah. If we had thought about using them on election day, we might be able to work with them for a single
Single day?
day
Yeah.
to see if that's something you want me to explore. I'm more than happy to do that.
Hey, I think it's a great idea.
I think we all would.
You could do it. I think all the early vote sites, if you can keep them open election day, it makes sense. People are gonna show up there. I mean, I'm with you.
Okay, I will look at our best for election day.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
and any of the other Springdale sites.
The only other ones are open on election day.
Okay.
Yeah, so in Springdale, we're good.
We are
in being
good,
that way. Yeah,
Well, I was just thinking of, some of the feedback that we.
yeah,
Sure. And I mean, all the early vote sites, if they're open early vote, keep them open election day. It's, if we can, it's one
Mhm.
extra day.
Mhm.
People always show up to
But that
vote.
Right.
affect your needs for equipment. That's the-
well, so the question is, do you want to open 2 more election day sites?
You mean American Legion and Arvest?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so then definitely that would impact.
Change your numbers.
Yes, so let me look at that and
And think about, I mean, I know you know the numbers, but other smaller sites that are out there, do they need as many machines as they
Right,
have?
right.
And
so we do those bare bones, so we send 3 express votes, and the reason Evansville probably doesn't need 3 express votes, however, it is so far away. If they're down to, if we only
Yeah.
send 2,
Uh-huh,
and then one of them breaks, then they're
Right.
down to 1.
yeah.
And so that's why I'm very hesitant. There's a couple of places I went ahead and have done that at Weddington Community.
You got
Um,
Evansville with 2 on here.
That Evansville is, yes,
I
and
mean,
and so.
I defer to you, but if you send them 2 new ones, if we're getting new ones,
Mm.
Oh, express that. Yeah, that's a.
I don't know. I
No,
mean,
that's a good,
And I'm
that's a
just
good way
looking
to
at
think
it.
of
the
it.
That's
nu- the
not a bad
numbers are-
idea.
Right,
Yeah.
American Legion 6, and then, Brentwood 3. American Legion's gonna have way more voters, or, comparable for some of these other locations.
But if you
Send them the good
can
ones.
differentiate with which machines are fresh out of the,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good thought.
manufacturer,
Yeah.
and make sure those get to the sites that
Where
are
we
far
only
enough away.
have 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Evansville and Weddington Community, like I said, that's the bare bones. If we were to send out 1, then we wouldn't have voting equipment
Yeah,
that went
you-
down.
yeah,
We would be in violation, even though, they have 100 and some odd voters.
3 just seems like a lot when they have 100 and some odd voters, and we're looking at potential election day numbers of 45,000 voters,
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you can maybe take another look at those numbers
Yeah.
but I agree with you. We need to get that purchase in the pipeline now.
And I'll visit with Craig and see what the delivery time frame is and
Okay.
set up time frame, and then bring that back, and I'll add one more election day site. And that would be the bare minimum too. I think 6, 1, and 3 is all we would need for another additional election day site. So, okay.
So we covered equipment for the 2023 budget. What about training?
So we have PYO, which is the program your own training scheduled for the end of July. It's a 5-day training. We built in $4,000 in our budget for that.
Where's that gonna be?
It will be here.
Oh, okay.
But we are actually ending up splitting that cost with Benton County because they'll
Good.
come as well. So
Okay.
we'll pay for 2 days of it. Because we really thought we only needed 2, but she wanted 5, and so she was willing to pay for 3, and we paid for 2. So we have that scheduled for the end of July. It'll be July 31st through August 4th, but that money is already built into our budget. And then I will get started on the materials for disposal. We have that built into our budget as well.
Have you had to move stuff down here that needs to be disposed?
No, but we have stuff from 2018 and that type of stuff that we need to go ahead and start, set up for disposal.
Okay.
So will all the, all workers need to attend that?
No, that is just the 3 of us
Oh,
that will be attending that. Yeah, it's learning how to set up the ballots.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, November 14th, 2023 election.
So there's a
on this.
So
Oh,
according to
yeah.
the newspaper.
There we go again.
There is.
Tell us more, Tom.
There will be a vacancy, Ward 1, City of Fayetteville.
Oh, yeah.
So the city has 2 options, one to hold a special election and the other is to appoint. This seat was just elected in 2022, which means that it's the first year of a 4-year term. Based on what the city has done in previous years, it is likely that they will hold a special election. The city council will meet the 1st of July to make that decision, but we'll know. But that is a very potential, other expense that we have. It looks like it'll be 4 polling sites in just the
Oh,
city. It's just Ward 1. They don't vote at large. So it would be Baldwin, Ridgeview, Yvonne, and Genesis would be the 4 sites. Yes.
So they could have in past years held a special election on a date prior to November.
Well, up until 2019, they
Okay.
could have.
They couldn't have even more recently than that.
Yeah, 2019 was when they went to the 4 elections per year.
What's the one before November?
Is August, but they have
August. They're too
already,
late.
yes.
Got it, okay.
Yep. So November
That was my
14th
question.
is the next potential election that we could have.
Okay.
And if they do decide to hold the election, it looks like it will just be 4 polling locations. So.
Okay, so that's in the offing potentially. Other election items for 2024.
So in the past, we've been able to purchase some things for the next year going forward. And right now our budget looks good. I mean, when we made the move, we spent very little. We had to buy 1 new desk, a couple of other office items, new chairs. And so there's still about $1,000 out in purchases that aren't reflected in the budget. So we still have close to $8,000 in our general supplies. So as the remainder of the year progresses, I will look to purchase different items for 2024, such as provisional ballots, ballot stock, those types of things.
Expendable.
Now, the secure cards, are those reflected somewhere?
They're not, so I can either, if we do have the November 14th election, that is something the commission will need to make a decision on. Do we want to count at the sheriff's office or count at the courthouse? If we count at the sheriff's office, well, regardless, I guess, of where we count, I'll need to purchase those security
Right.
cards, and that was about $1,400. So we would have the money to
Okay.
purchase, we would have the money to purchase those. Because we would only need one for that election, and they're, I think, about $700 a piece. Because we're not talking a lot of absentee ballots,
Oh,
for that election. But that will be something the commission will need to think about, is where do we want to count?
that's a good question.
Boy, yeah, good question. Is the courthouse in Ward 1 technically? It's right by it.
Oh,
If it's
boy,
not,
it
yeah.
is, I think it might be,
It
now,
might be.
early vote will still be there.
yeah, okay.
So that's not an issue, we'll still have early vote there, but the question is, where do we want to count?
Yeah.
Man, if it's not in Ward 1, it is.
It's
Yeah.
right there.
It's right on the line.
I mean, I like the idea of counting in the ward with
Get a
that kind of
map
an election, but the flip side, if we want to be down here in the sheriff's annex moving forward, maybe it's a good chance to be down there and start doing it. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's, I guess the way I look at it is there's an argument to be made that those people in Ward 1 are the people who may want to have it in the courthouse.
Is the sheriff's office in Ward 1 too, though?
Oh, wow.
Sheriff's office is.
It is,
Yeah.
okay.
There you go.
Because
Okay.
it, yeah.
In the courthouse.
It goes down here.
Thanks.
a ways.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I knew
All right,
Baldwin, because
then.
I was thinking Baldwin is a polling place
It
in
just
Genesis.
seems like a
which
ward,
means-
maybe it's just because it's population.
Yeah,
density
population
concentrated
is
up
out
there,
there.
it seems like it more.
But
So
that,
either way then,
yeah. I mean, if we did have the election and we did want to count at the sheriff's office, it would give us a dry run
Right,
for how the primary and the general would go.
yeah,
Now, I would have to see if that date is available, that annex, I mean,
isn't that busy?
it does, it books up, I already have
Wow.
next year booked,
wow.
so we're good, we're good
Wow.
for next year. I will check with Anthony to see if the 14th is available, that may answer our question.
That
right
could,
there.
yeah, yeah.
So, but I will check with Anthony to see if that is available for us.
I would support, doing it in the sheriff's annex, because that looks like that's where we're gonna be doing these things going forward more than likely. If that's the case, I think that would get, be consistent, be more consistent.
Which is,
Because Dixie Street on the east side
Oh, that's the
is
cutoff.
Ward
Oh,
1.
wow.
Goes all the way from the
southeast side.
courthouse to the sheriff's office.
Wow, yeah.
interesting, okay. Well, I tend to think that we need to figure out what the glitches would be by doing a dry run down here. I mean, it's not gonna be technically a dry run, but it certainly would be a test for how it's gonna go on a big election.
It's foresight, so, you know, I wouldn't anticipate us having any issues, but it does let us set out our process, for doing it there. I think knowing that this webcam works as well as it does, we'll be able to live stream from there with no issues. So, yeah.
Well, and what you're saying then is this can easily be set up over at the sheriff's station.
Yes. So, but let me check on the date. That may answer, it may not even be a possibility.
Right.
Because the date may be full.
That's, that would be getting close to Thanksgiving.
Yes,
And
and
then the
it'll,
14th just is so strange.
it is,
Mhm.
it is.
All right, well,
Put it on my calendar
yeah.
And the city council may not decide to do that, but
Oh.
Yeah.
what I read in the paper,
Mm.
in what we know from past elections, what they've done, you know,
They don't have an option to put it off any longer than November the 14th, do they?
no, because that's quite a ways.
Right.
If you were gonna do that, you would want to think about appointing someone.
Exactly,
And they don't
yeah.
wanna have to do that, I
Yeah.
would think.
There's no predicting what they will do, so we'll go forward. All right, we were talking about election items for 2024.
I think that was the security card
Oh, yeah.
and those types of things. We'll look at that, but so we may go ahead and purchase those in anticipation of this election.
Yeah, good idea.
All right, 2024 budget.
So we received the letter from the comptroller's office
All right,
laying out the procedures, and the deadline is July 17th to have everything turned into the comptroller. And so for us, even though I know there's some controls in here that were sent out, I think our department is different than other departments
yeah,
in the sense that we can't just ask for the normal, regular things because it is a general election year.
Mhm.
And so I have talked with, with the comptroller's office and just present our budget like we have presented our budget in previous
Mhm.
years. And then we'll hear back to see if there's any adjustments that we need to make. So basically, that's what I have done.
okay. And I think, did you mention you were gonna write a letter to the comptroller about our part of the process?
So I've included in our packet for today, what would be our budget request letter, and then the line item basically would be as the other two pieces of the puzzle.
Oh, good, and you put the comparisons.
Yeah.
I want, since he's new to our process, I feel like he needs to understand and have emphasized that much of our budget is, it seems awful, but we get reimbursed for all this.
Yes,
Yeah.
for a percentage of it.
And it will, it's not as if you look at the numbers and you go, oh my gosh, because it will come back.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
you know, he needs, that needs to be emphasized, that, man,
Yeah. Good point.
it-
Because the budget that we're asking for is not reflective of the amount of money we're
Exactly,
spending
yeah.
by the end of the year.
And it is shocking to somebody that made, well, I mean, it was to the, 2 years ago, to the court when, you know, we had to continually say, hey, this is
Yeah.
coming back to us.
Yeah, and the
Mhm.
same thing when I prepared this budget, if you'll notice, it is significantly larger than the budget that
Mhm.
I have prepared in previous years.
Right.
Is there any way, to Renee's point, we've got this in red, I don't know if you do it that way, but adding green, the expected amount that we're gonna bring in?
Yeah.
So this is the worksheet. I added that column for us.
Oh, okay.
This, when we turn this in, the column that's in yellow will be the only thing I turn in. We don't add anything else. That's what this is for.
Okay.
The
yeah,
letter, the justification letter. So we can work on what the justification letter is, but basically, I added that column in red for the
Mhm.
commission today to be able to review, but basically when they are requesting
I don't have a yellow.
it,
Oh, a little one, oh,
yeah, yeah, basically when I turn this in, now I can add it at the bottom, if you'll see that I did add in the note column,
Mhm.
I can, those are my notes, so I can turn in the notes. I won't turn in the column that has the numbers in red, but I have added that in the note column under the total budget at the very bottom.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, you're looking at the spreadsheet and we anticipate to get however many hundreds of thousands of dollars back. I anticipate, right? In costs from the
We-
state.
I mean, are we trying to figure out a way to show that?
Yeah, just so they see, folks who are new to the quorum court.
Yeah. Is there a way to show that?
I can,
Or do we
if,
know what those numbers are going to be?
well, no, we don't, but I can, if you'll see on the big spreadsheet that I do for our office, I have it broken down by the years of each year, how much we have returned. I can add that at the bottom and then that way you have me to take it.
Right, well, I mean,
Because
he needs to be aware of that,
And
and
I
he needs to keep that in mind at every,
At the very bottom, see how I've done this across for this year? I can do the same as, I can add that at the
Yeah.
bottom and see what,
So those three lines are basically showing that let me see what they're showing here. This is revised budget. Is that the total? That's 2022, okay, these are years. Okay, $979,000. $980,000, so the reimbursement is $374, and the difference is, that's the real budget of what we spent, because that number. Yeah, that number, I think, those 3 or 4 lines right there may just be do the trick, what you're asking for.
Yeah,
You think?
yeah, definitely, I agree, just like that.
As long as it's explained, there may need to be some notes out here, I don't know explain exactly what it is, but the reimbursement is probably the only thing that needs to be explained. We have to spend this money, we have to have it for cash flow purposes.
Yeah,
But we get it back, it's
Yeah.
reimbursed. So.
exactly. Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it, if we can do that.
I'll definitely, I've got the note on the smaller sheet, but I can go ahead and add basically this information and put it at the bottom and they'll say take it off or leave it.
well,
So I think
this is what the quorum court receives, right?
No, this is what the quorum
Oh,
court
okay,
receives.
okay.
Now, we can turn this into, I think, this is my sheet where I break down what we have spent, what categories we've spent it in, what we've purchased, and then by elections.
Okay.
And so that's what this reflects.
Yeah.
So
it's just a longer, more detailed version of this.
Well, the court has to approve the money that's spent that is basically cash flow money. But that money that comes back is reimbursed. That money needs to be explained. If we don't explain that, if we say, well, there's a certain amount that comes back, that kind of leaves a gap for somebody like this, comptroller, so what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I think we'll tell him what it means, and if he says take it off, fine.
Yeah, but I'm with you, because the quorum court is gonna hear our budget, and they're gonna hear how much money we're asking for. They're never gonna hear how much money was remitted to the general fund, right? Like during the year, so it's an incomplete picture to just tell them, we're requesting this amount without saying, but we're gonna get this amount back, or, estimated amount back.
Right.
And I've
So-
included in the notes, on the line items that are billable, I have included that,
Oh, yeah,
to
right.
show that that is a billable expense.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good, that's helpful.
Okay, what
Is
else
that
on
just-
that?
So does that mean that $308,000 on this particular budget is basically remitted or refunded amount?
No, so this shows that in 2022, we are now asking for $308,000 more than what we requested in 2022.
That's the difference.
That now, granted, when I turn this into the comptroller, I will remove this budget,
Okay.
the the red column.
The difference.
But I wanted the commission to
Right.
see, I am asking for an increase, these are the areas where I'm
So
asking for
you're
an
looking,
increase
these
in.
billable expenses you've got listed marked here.
I do, yes. And these notes and comments will remain,
Oh,
that
okay.
part will remain.
But the billable expense here, these billable expenses, the total of these doesn't come anywhere close to that number.
No,
Okay.
because a large part of the billable expense is the poll worker costs. And I do have it noted that poll worker costs is a billable expense.
Oh, it does say billable, so, okay.
Yeah.
That is the big chunk. Well, do the notes go with this?
The notes will be turned in, yes. The big, to me, when I looked at the budget where I had an increase in the budget, obviously the cost for our staff and poll workers. Part of that is the 22% adjustment in salaries. So every department is gonna have a reflection of something similar to that. So that part, hopefully they, will understand that it's comparable to every other department's expenditure from 2022 or from 2023 to 2024. So that was a difference in cost. The other big cost, if you'll see, is under general supplies. In 2022, we spent $40,000, but I'm asking for $71,000. That big increase is because we have been very careful about purchasing ballot stock because it can go bad after 2
Right.
years.
Yeah, we don't need that.
So we are down to 14 boxes of ballots, which means I have to make a considerable investment in ballot stock. And then also stylists, we're down to 8,000 stylists.
Yeah.
And so we'll need to make a considerable amount of purchase there for stylists at about $12,000 for stylists. Everything else I feel like is within
Yep.
inflation and adjusted
Right,
costs and that, but those two areas were the only two that I looked at it and I was like, wow, that's a big difference.
Right.
And that is
Cool.
why the difference is so much larger.
All right, so, you have to present this by, let's see, what did you say?
July 17th, I had to have it
17th,
turned
okay.
into the comptroller's office.
So do we need to, go ahead and approve it preliminarily today?
That is up to the commission if you feel comfortable. Now, I do not have anticipated in this, and it probably may only be $3,000 or $4,000 if we were to add 2 more polling locations.
Oh, right.
There would be
okay.
that added cost
Yeah.
of the poll workers for that. But I do have built into this a runoff election for the primary that may or may not happen. We typically don't have a primary runoff for a presidential year because you don't have any state offices up for election. But you just,
Yeah, you never know.
you never know. So I do have that cost built in. So I feel like that would absorb
Yeah.
the extra polling
Yeah.
locations. And if we find
Yeah.
that we do have that runoff, then we can certainly come back because poll worker costs would be a billable expense
Yeah.
Sure.
out, so, but
So, what I'm hearing you say is you're comfortable with the numbers that you presented here, even if there is something that unusual that comes up.
yeah, and I added 1 extra early vote, well, I added 1.5 extra early vote sites, and the reason it's a half is a limit, a pop-up one, but for 1 full, like RBS, early vote site, and then plus if we wanted to do an additional pop-up site, maybe in Farmington or something along those lines, I have already budgeted that cost into this budget.
So let me clarify something you just said a minute ago, if I may. You're saying that you priced in the cost for a runoff that you think we probably won't have. But if you're going to add 2 polling places, that's pretty much a wash.
Yeah.
But what if you add 2 polling places and you have the runoff? We don't have the wash.
We don't, but at that point, we can come back to the quorum court and say that we need more money
This
for
was
poll
unexpected.
worker expenses. If you want, if we want to approach it that way, or I can adjust the budget for 2 extra polling locations and go ahead and just present it with everything, so we don't have to come back to the quorum court.
I would adjust it to include it myself, because sales, you can only ask the most once. You know,
Ah,
Sure.
you can only offer the least once, and everything else is a
Yeah.
negotiation.
Sure,
Well,
sure, I'm with you.
we've got a meeting on the 27th of June, where we could approve those numbers and it'd still be in.
Yes, and that's why I wanted
Yeah.
to have this meeting. I didn't want us to be pressured into like one meeting and decide the budget, because it is such a big budget for next year. I wanted us to have time to look at everything, and I can adjust that. It's about $6,000 to $7,000. I'll make sure I have the numbers right to add the 2 polling
Well,
locations.
sounds good. Why don't you do that, adjust these numbers and documents, and we'll come back on the
Right.
27th.
I
Whether we
agree.
go back in a year and say, well, we didn't need this 6,000. so we didn't
Exactly,
spend
yeah.
it.
Sure,
Go back in a half year and say,
Yeah.
please give us 6 more thousand.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. Those are both anticipated expenses, likely expenses, so.
Right,
let's
right.
ask
And
for it.
whether
I'm with
they
you.
come up or not.
Yeah, exactly. We're not gonna spend that money if if we don't have it on our budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we
That's staff cost. so,
Right. So,
Sounds good.
okay, so, have you presented everything on the 24 budget?
I think so. The number of elections, early voting, I had already added in 1.5 new early vote sites. Election day voting, that would be two more polling locations. Training, we have that's built in there.
Yes.
Supplies and other services, so yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
cool. Good job.
All right, so we've got a meeting on the 27th. Are you gonna have time to get all this done for the 27th? Is that gonna pressure you?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a minor adjustment, and then what I will do is I will have one of these prepared that is just what I'm presenting to the
Oh,
comptroller.
good,
I
okay.
will have the one prepared for the
Yeah.
commission to look at, and then, so yeah.
Do you run this by the comptroller before you actually present it, or?
So I think the idea is that they're turned into the comptroller, and then they review and they'll start setting up meetings with us.
Okay. to
That's
discuss
their
it.
that's their deadline to us to have, and then that will start the process of the budget. I don't know if you want to take a look at the budget request letter and send me comments or markups if you want to. And then I did the line item explanations like we've done in previous
Okay.
years, which are just the bullet points on what we are spending
Right.
those on.
Okay.
But this one that I have broken down for you shows each year what we've spent on ballot stock and provisional ballot envelopes, and I tried to break it out so that you can see how we were spending our money.
Excellent job. It's, there's a lot to it. And I mean, I was looking, unfortunately, 2020 is not gonna be a sample year that we can rely on as far as some of the numbers are concerned. So we're gonna have to, in the future, keep remembering that It was an oddity, go back to 2016.
76, I can't keep remembering it.
Well, we'll try to help you on that,
Thank you.
Jim. All right, so we've got upcoming dates, June 27th. Are we still good with that? for y'all?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay. And then the regional meeting, how are plans going for that? Are you having any time to?
Yeah, I will, the budget, I knew it was coming, and so I was like, oh, the budget. After I adjust these numbers, then I'll start on the regional meeting stuff. Basically, it's just the new laws. And I will get with, I think the SBEC is meeting on Monday to approve their, the new legislative, you know, what they're looking at on that, and I'll get with Daniel after that meeting. So he can share his information, and then I can put it all together for our meeting,
Okay.
so.
Super, cool. Other business?
I need to circle back around if I can. And that's, what the,
That is,
house says when they want to talk about something other.
well, they do that all the time.
The bill,
That's another question.
the bill that, added the two people to bring the balance, I guess, provisional balance and stuff back. I did have a conversation, with Robin about it, and, I don't know if you have or not.
I have not.
She didn't seem to really remember the bill exactly, but I know she's got a lot on the plate, so she said she would look at it back to me. The question that I asked her was, what was the intent of the two people? If you read the bill, it's under a heading of transport of ballots and chain of custody. And I told her that, you know, the issues that it caused, and I asked her if she would get back with me on that. She hasn't yet, so I'm probably going to have to call her. But I'm just trying to, what I don't want us to do is to get into a situation where some smart lawyer says, well, none of those ballots count because you didn't do this,
Mm.
you know? And I don't know that it'll ever happen. Don't know that it'll ever happen in Washington County, but somewhere in Arkansas,
It will happen.
I'm just about guarantee it'll happen. So I'm still digging on that. I just wanted y'all to know that I'm still digging. I'm trying to get to the bottom of why that was so important that they put it in legislation.
Is the SBC gonna issue guidance about that?
Yes, so that will be, part of the, commissioner training, but also I am sure it'll be part of the coordinator training. In regards to how exactly to do this process.
Cause yeah, I mean, fair to your point, Jim, we should ask them if they don't, to issue specific written
Yeah,
guidance about
real
that to
specific.
cover.
Yeah, and I want, you know, I want them to be more specific on things like that than I found them to be in the past. It was be kind of like, oh, it'll be okay. Don't worry about it, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Until we end up with a big problem.
can you tell that I just don't have a lot of faith in them right now? I'll probably get kicked off of this committee one of these days, but anyway.
Well, I'm glad you're going after it, and I told you I would talk to Robin, and I haven't talked to her about other things, but I've forgotten it, but I'll make sure to
Well, you know me.
talk to her.
I get on to something and sometimes people get a little nervous. Keep going. You sent this out, Marcia.
Yeah,
I did,
Yeah.
yes.
That's the other thing I'm concerned about. I'm concerned that the issue of paper ballots, we're not, these folks aren't trying to convince people in this room. They're not trying to convince people that already believe paper ballots should be the standard.
Yeah.
they're they're not trying to convince the people on the other side of the issue that say, heck no, we're fine with what we got.
Right.
They're trying to convince the middle, and it's the middle, if this ever goes to the public for a vote or whatever, it's the middle that needs to have been convinced. I'm not sure that SBC or the Secretary of State's office or somebody, probably not this room, but somebody ought not to go and take this and break it down. And like an old salesman would do, find out what really the objections are. Get them listed out, nail them down and get these people to say, yes, that's it, yes, that's it. And then go find information that overcomes those objections. Because and honestly, you could come into a situation where you have information that comes in and then suddenly you have a paradigm shift. So, that could happen. We could all have paradigm shifts. But if we're right, then we need to be able to justify and explain.
My personal view is, I don't think anything that we say is going to satisfy the people on this
I'm trying to satisfy them.
association. Yeah, but I think we've talked about this. And I think we have adequate responses to the things that they presented in that advertisement that are reasonably sound in terms of saying, this is not true. But I will also say, we have, if they want this to pass, they've got to get the core courts in 75 counties. Or do they have to have all the counties?
It can be on an individual county
That's true,
basis.
yeah. So, but they did have one county, Faulkner,
Cleburne.
Cleburne,
Then
excuse
they
me,
backed off.
and then they backed off.
on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that this is a last ditch effort, because when we talked with Mr. Reynolds, he talked about he'd like to have it done by July. And here we are in June. And so, not that he's gonna give it up, but I think that the idea was we've got to get a push to get this done now. So I'm hopeful.
I feel like you did rebut each of the points at one point,
Yeah.
Jennifer. Was it at the last regional meeting? There was some, and not that advertisement specifically, but it was the same objections. Didn't you have some sort of document or?
I did, specifically regarding the barcodes
Right.
and the specific, that you can't.
That
do
was
barcodes,
at
that
the
they're-
time, that was their point. They were-
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Okay.
so
But
there
maybe
is.
we need to hammer that a little more.
There is that, and I will tell you, to Jim's point about the middle, that's the
Exactly.
people who come in with the questions, because when we did poll worker training before the May 9th election, I talked to my poll workers about, you may get questions on this,
Yeah.
you are not to be an expert on this, but here's what the barcodes mean, because even for the poll workers, they're like, oh, okay, and so I think that they see it a little bit more, so it's the voters who come in at the polls on election day that we have to, make sure that they feel comfortable voting the way it is and aren't demanding a paper ballot at the polls.
Yeah, and what I tell people on the paper ballots point, we have paper ballots.
Exactly.
We voted paper ballots in Washington County for as long as I can remember. We have a paper ballot system
Mhm.
now. We have
Yeah.
the express vote that we vote on is simply a marking device. It's the same as a pen or a pencil.
Yes.
And then the DS200 is what counts the paper ballot.
Mhm.
And we have been using machines to count paper ballots in Washington County for decades.
Yes.
That's been the system for decades. We've had machines count ballots, so. I get it, there's more objections and it's good to talk about it, and think about the ways we need to rebut it, but, you know.
We may want to revisit that on the regional meeting, just to keep reminding people of, this is what we've got, this is a good system. And don't let anybody convince you otherwise, because they're grasping at straws. Right.
And John Moody will be there
Okay.
from ESNS. John Moody and Kim, the coordinator in Benton County, did do a thing for the Republican women's group. It was more than just one, it was a large number, and the two of them did a presentation together in Benton County. If that's something that we want to think about, I know John Moody will be available as well to kind of visit with me and then with us, and to figure out if that's something we wanted to pursue, you know, a little bit closer to the election. I think now people will hear it and then they'll.
But the fact that they've advertised in the newspaper is certainly, a lot of people will see that and not get information to rebut that.
Right, and they were at Faulkner County last
Yeah.
night at their quorum court
Oh, were
meeting.
they?
Garland County, did a presentation at their quorum court, their coordinator did a presentation at their quorum court meeting about how it works. So there is still quorum courts that are listening to both, you know, like Garland County invited their coordinator, not just one side, but they had, you know, had the information there. So, you know, we're still seeing it across the state in, you know, different counties. So we talked about, so.
Okay. Well, it's good to keep an eye on it.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll come back with that
Well, I
eventually.
will attempt to read this thoroughly and see if I
Yeah.
can winnow out or whatever it is, so
What their arguments
what,
are.
what it comes down to. If you start asking questions, if you're a critical thinker and you question the board, that's really what we need to do with this, and find the salient points that, where he's actually saying, this is where problems can occur or do occur. And those are the places that the people that are at the voting centers need to have the data, the information that allows them to defeat that question.
Well, we'll just keep paying attention to it.
And this is also moved to the federal court as well, because they filed a lawsuit in the state of Arkansas about the ballots being barcodes, basically. And, the Arkansas judge ruled that it was a federal matter, and it has been moved to federal court. I don't know where it is now.
Yeah.
But they're still moving along, you know, with different things. So I think it's just good to know,
Absolutely.
where it's at.
Okay.
Okay, I'm done.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate that. Other business?
Nope.
None? We have an election commission office tour. If anybody wants it,
Well, yeah, let's go.
we
Take
will
this on the road here.
adjourn the meeting here for now. Thank you all.